What's up, guys? Welcome to the video. Today, we're going to be comparing A-Leads versus Apollo, two of the big players in the data and lead generation space. They're both great. They both have their use cases in different areas, and I've been using Apollo for a very long time. I just recently started A-Leads. I'm going to talk a little about why I switched to A-Leads and why it may have been a good idea or may have not been such a great idea. And I'll get to that a little bit later in the video so you guys can use from my experience and make the decision for yourself of which is going to be best for your cases. So, with that, I'm Jake. If you're new to the channel, we do AI stuff, automation stuff, and a bunch of workflow stuff, all with the idea of being able to scale our businesses, make ourselves money, things like that. If you're into that, like and subscribe. Always coming out with new good content that I think you guys find helpful. If there's something specific you want to see, I'm happy to make a video around it. Just drop it in the comments. That being said, let's get into it. So, A-Leads versus Apollo. We're going to be rating them on these criteria: data quality, ease of use, cost, and capabilities. And I've already written it out here, but I'm going to go through a bunch of different stuff. I'm going to go through their pricing models, what their UI looks like, what the data actually looks like when it's coming from these A-Leads and Apollos and whatnot, and what you can expect from each of them, as well as what their API capabilities look like to know that, hey, which API is going to be right for my use case. So starting off with the pricing, I think is probably the biggest part for most of us. We want to find the most leads for the lowest cost. So let's go over here to pricing. Let's go over here to pricing. And starting with Apollo, the one that I've been using forever. It's $79 a month, roughly, whatever that is, about $1,000 a year for the entire year if you do the 1 year plan. And you get 120,000 credits. So not bad. And then we have A-Leads here. 82 a month. So about the same cost, $3 more a month, whatever that is, $36 more a year. And you get 144,000 credits. So in terms of value, you're winning on A-Leads. It's a little more expensive, but you get more value. So A-Leads wins there. But Apollo has a lot more things they can do. So A-Leads is strictly data. They're just people you find, leads, companies, emails, phone numbers, things like that. That's all they do. They don't have a platform to reach out to these people, to enrich with AI, to do anything like that. Where Apollo has that full built-in automation platform where you can send emails, you can enrich it, you can do all this stuff all through the platform. I don't use any of that, so I can't speak to it. As far as I know, their email platform isn't the best, and so I actually outsource it to Instantly and other platforms like that. And I do all the email customization and automation through other ways. So I don't even use it for that. I think most of us do not use it for that. But if that's important to you, if you want an all-in-one system, you're good to go right there. Apollo is your choice. However, there are other factors to consider, especially if you are not doing your outreach directly through the one all-in system. And that is, and a big thing here is there is no credits rolling over in Apollo. And I just found this out because I canceled my Apollo subscription after having, an extra like 30,000 credits. And I was like, okay, I'll keep all my stuff running with those 30,000 credits. But no, these guys, they got rid of my credits when I canceled, even though I paid for them already. So if you cancel, let's say day one after you buy your credits, they're going to charge you $1,000 and then say, hey, you get no credits, which is really a terrible business model and really not cool. A-Leads, it rolls over. So let's say 1 year goes by, you use 60,000 credits. The next year you pay for another 144,000 credits, or you stop the system, at least to my understanding. I haven't tried this part yet because I haven't gone there. I'm new to A-Leads. You should still have the remaining, 80,000 some odd credits, whatever it may be. But they do roll over, which is super, super big, especially if you're not doing a ton of outreach, but you just want a ton of data. That's going to be super helpful down the line. So 1.2 A-Leads right there. And now let's check out the UI. Well, no, not that guy. Oops. Continue. Okay, here's the UI on each of these platforms. As you can see, they are extremely similar. They are basically just a copy and paste another. So you can make a list in A Leads, you can do the data enrichment, you can do the email finding, you can find your leads here. And if we go to the find leads page, which I'm here, you can see they are practically the same thing. They have practically every single one of the same intent triggers and, uh, you know, company match, match by website, match by this. Um, very, 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 very close. So, in terms of the data you can find, it is practically the same thing. Apollo has the same amount of data in it too. So, 241, 240, same amount of people, same amount of contacts, same amount of everything. All of that is practically the same. So UI, 1 to 1. No winner on that. And now let's get to the API docs. So the API docs, and I'll go over to how, what kind of data you can get from the leads in a second. But the API docs are here. This is the API docs for A leads. And so if you're using APIs, which are basically just saying you're calling the information from another platform to get it off that platform, so you don't have to download like a CSV from a Quest, and you can automate your outreach and lead downloading. They have a pretty solid API. I've run into some problems with it, but they do have an API that is a bit more niche, but they do have a ton of different parameters for you. This is the company search one, so you can search on a ton of different parameters. And then they have, of course, one thing that's really interesting, that you can find personal emails, which Apollo just does not have. So that's a big win for A leads, because a personal email, especially if you're doing B2C, can be really big. You do need to pay attention to some, I think it's like data privacy laws or, outreach laws or something like that. But if you are, working within those, then find personal email is pretty nice. And then, of course, you can obviously find the business email, find the phone number. They have email verification credits as well, so you can verify the email in there, even though the confidence of emails pre-verification is also very, very high. So not necessary to do the verify email if you are cost focused. If you're quality focused, probably verify the email. And then Apollo has a very, very robust API as well. I would say it's more robust. They have more going on with it. There is fewer categories that you can actually get from these for the people search and the organization search. You can see that's a little bit shorter of a list here, but all the main things are pretty much there, right? Looking at technologies, looking at company size, company names, locations, things like that. That's what most of us are going to use to find these. And so pretty much the same, but I do think Apollo's API is actually better. It's better for a couple reasons. One is A Leads API. They limit you on things. So you need to be a much more niche case with A Leads API, because they max out your pages at 20 and 5 respectively for people and companies. And you only get 26 results per page. And so if you want to use A Leads API, you actually need to be finding your companies or your people via a third party, or enriching via a very specific data point, opposed to just pulling from the page. Like, let's say if you want to find companies that are manufacturing companies, you can't just go to the company search and find manufacturing companies. Well, you can, but you're only going to get 150 results. So there's a couple ways to get around this, and probably the best way to get around this is starting from a different data point. So let's say you're finding the company URL first from like some other system, and then you're using that company URL you found to enrich it specifically with just that company on A Leads. That circumvents the page limit. And that's the only way to do it, which adds more friction and potentially more cost to your system. So that is a negative on A Leads. And it's really annoying, something I've had to deal with and something they didn't tell me going into starting working with A Leads. Apollo doesn't do that. Apollo, you can, from my experience, page, unlimited pages. So you can paginate and iterate through the entire database. I have yet to run into the same problem where they're stopping me at a page limit. They might have one, but it's not at 5 pages. Maybe, oh, here it is, up to 500 pages. And you can see here, they don't have that at all. When I went to look at their API, I was like, okay, great. Looks like it should serve all my purposes. However, they did not make that transparent. I might be stepping away from A-Leads for that exact reason, even though the data quality is much better, which I'll get into in a second. And so one thing that A-Leads has to speak on that data quality is that they have about a 99% confidence rating in their data. And when we're talking about A-Leads, and I'll go back to my whiteboard here, they update at request. So when you request a company or person, they're actually updating that information and enriching it in real time right then. So the data quality is something like 99.99%. It's very, very good. It's probably the best out there, unless we're talking about something like Seamless, which they are probably the best in the business, but they're just so much more expensive. And Apollo, the data quality and accuracy is probably 70 to 90%, depending on, who you're looking for, the niche you're looking for. A lot of it is raw data and updated who knows when. And so sometimes you can get very old data. Maybe someone's not at a company anymore. Maybe the company is gone. Who knows? But you could be getting old, outdated data, and that can really impact your email campaigns. Because if you are sending emails to emails that no longer exist or aren't accurate emails, you're going to get bounces. That's going to hurt your domain reputability, and that's going to make you go to spam more often. And that means you're going to get less emails landing in inboxes of people who actually are qualified clients. And that means you're going to have less sales, less money. And that all affects your bottom line and top line revenue, of course. And so data quality, A-Leads is a big winner here. And that's why I switched. And the only big problem is the API. And that's the only big problem I've found with them, is that their API is that very niche use, because you can't iterate and scale through pages, right? If you can only find 150 companies per let's say result you're going for, if you want companies in Arizona, then you're going to have to go area by area and really refine that niche, unless you're starting with like a different database that you're just going from company website URL or company name or something like that, enriching point by point, which is the only way to get around it, opposed to some other infrastructure things you can do that, just are very time consuming and just annoying to build out. Things that you don't have to worry about with Apollo, where you just say, hey, I want manufacturing companies in Arizona, and you can just iterate through all those pages. And then, going down this list, cost, very low for both. Rollover credits, so A-Leads does win on cost. Total capabilities, basically, they're only leads with A-Leads like we're talking about. Total capabilities for Apollo, it is an end-to-end sales system. Outreach, albeit infrastructure, is mid. They have a much more broad use case. And so if you have broad use cases, if you want broad data, and you want fastest go-to-market, Apollo is probably your go-to. However, if you want best data quality and you're going for much more direct and intentional outreach, A-Leads is probably a bit better. And I'm going to try and make A-Leads work. If I can't, I might switch back to Apollo, or I might switch to something called AI Arc that I'm not going to cover in this video. I have a demo with them on Tuesday, and so I will be covering them if I decide that they are good, and I'm going to try them out. And so I'll make another comparison video, potentially just adding AI Arc into here so we can compare them along with A-Leads and Apollo. And so let's start the scoring here. Data quality is a 10. That's really good. Data quality here, 7. Ease of use is a 6. Ease of use is a 10. Cost, 10. Cost, 9, maybe 8. Capabilities, 7. Capabilities, 9. So let's score those up. So we got 16, 26, 33. So total is 33. Here we have 17 25, 34. So really, really close. Overall, as a platform, Apollo is a little bit better. If you want data quality, and that's the main point for you, that's what's most important, is data quality, go with A-Leads. Because really where Apollo wins is those capabilities and ease of use. Where A-Leads wins is data quality and cost. And so now let's get into the actual data you get from each so you guys can see examples of data. So first, let's go for, here it is. It's going to be, this is an A-Leads company search. So of course you get the company, LinkedIn, industries, company keywords, website, number of employees, company address. Now the company address, they only enrich full HQ addresses if they find it. For this company, Intel, they did not find it. Intel Capital, they did not find it, which is not Intel the company, because of course they know where that one is. So they just give you city and state. And when you're doing the API calls, they don't actually give you any of the data points that don't have full data in every point here. And so that is very nice that you're not going to get any bad data in the bunch. And so that is, again, why they're a 10 out of 10 on data quality. Very, very strong data quality. Apollo, here's their thing. Same company, Intel Capital. You can see that they have more parameters here because, a lot of it's raw data and they're guessing at some of these things. So if we look at the company, they're just going to guess at where the company is. If it may be accurate, it may not be. And so if you want a result every single time and you're willing to say, hey, I'm okay with some slippage, some company addresses that might not be accurate, some information that might not be accurate, Apollo is going to win there. If you want accurate every time, A-Leads is going to win there. But same results, pretty much everything is exactly the same. The only difference is that A-Leads will only give you the exact data that you request because it's from a CSV. This isn't from the API. And then let's look at a lead. So a lead, here's Hannah Kroot. She's Intel Capital. You do get the work email. Okay, working email confidence, 99%, like I quoted there. And you get all of the other data surrounding her as well. And of course, if we go to address, again, they weren't certain about that, so you only get this. On the API, you will always get the full address because it's not going to give you anyone that doesn't have that full address. And then Apollo, this is just a giant lead, a giant list of Apollo leads that I have here, with their personal number. And let's see, and it has all these different fields, right? So pretty much all the same fields as a lead. The only thing is that they're going to try their best to find information and they're going to give you stuff that I think is, but not always 100% verified. Email status, you do have verified email statuses. The confidence is not 99% like A-Leads. The confidence is going to be a bit lower. So even if you get that verified email status, it might not actually be a verified email, but decently confident, right? That's kind of what they go for. And so at the end of the day, that's it. I am currently trying A-Leads and I am going to try and make them work. And I'm going to explore some other options as well. I'm talking with support on their API capabilities right now to see if we can figure something out, potentially add it to the platform, figure out a workaround or something like that. If there's no way to do that and there's not an easy way for me to just feed in the data I want to do company by company enrich, that's not going to increase my costs by a drastic amount or just make my friction so much higher, I'm going to have to leave A-Leads just because I do all my stuff through API. I don't do the CSV downloads. And so that is very important to me. It might not be as important to you if you're a CSV download kind of person. A-Leads is the way to go 10 out of 10 times. If you just want data, if you are an API person, Apollo might be the winner here. I'll update in the comments with what I find if they do come around with a workaround, but that's how it stands today. And with that, that's all I got for you guys today. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if you use Apollo or A-Leads in the comments and what your experience has been, or if you have another platform that you use and that you think I should check out, because maybe I just haven't heard of it. Either way, thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next one.
Free audio post-production by Alphonic.com.